Plesiosaurs couldn't survive in a frigid lake like this. The air is crisp, and the water is clear and chilly. But something feels off. Plesiosaurs would not be seen swimming here, with their foreflippers moving gracefully through the water. Plesiosaurs thrived in the marine environments of the Mesozoic era, from the late Triassic to the late Cretaceous periods, but they were never adapted for life in cold freshwater lakes. Their physiology and ecology are suited to saltwater habitats, not the frigid waters of a lake ecosystem. You need to hear this. Everything you thought about plesiosaurs thriving in cold freshwater lakes is incorrect. These colossal marine reptiles were perfectly adapted for life in the open oceans, not icy inland waters. Let's dive in. First up, their size. Plesiosaurs grew enormous, with some species reaching lengths of up to 15 meters and weights comparable to several elephants. Imagine a submarine powered by 4 flippers. These marine reptiles were truly giants of the Mesozoic seas. Subject: why plesiosaurs could never have lived in a cold freshwater lake now. Picture one of these giants in a lake. Imagine the water cooling significantly at night, or even getting too cold for them to survive comfortably. Their bodies were designed to maintain warmth in vast oceans with consistent temperatures and abundant food resources. In lakes, the fluctuating temperatures and limited food supply would pose significant challenges. But it's not just about size, it's about how they lived and breathed. Plesiosaurs had long, thin necks with small heads full of sharp teeth, which was an excellent design for catching fish in the open marine environments where they thrived. Their jaws were made to snap up fast-moving prey in clear, nutrient-rich seas rather than murky freshwater lakes. Imagine trying to catch fish in a cold, freshwater lake with 4 flippers and a long neck. It would be like using a deep-sea fishing rod in a small pond. Plesiosaurs were perfectly adapted for life in the warm, nutrient-rich seas where they thrived during the Mesozoic era, not in chilly freshwater lakes. Their streamlined bodies and powerful flippers made them efficient hunters in marine environments. But such adaptations would have been ill-suited to the challenges of a cold, low-oxygen lake ecosystem. Here's the deal. Plesiosaurs were likely ectothermic, like many modern reptiles, meaning they required consistent warmth from their environment. Their bodies needed the heat provided by oceans to remain active and maintain bodily functions. Freshwater lakes do not provide the thermal stability that these marine reptiles relied upon for optimal physiological function and activity levels. Subject: why plesiosaurs were ill-suited to live in cold freshwater lakes. Let me ask you, how would a plesiosaur stay warm in a small, cold body of water? It's like asking if a camel could survive in Alaska. The answer is no, because they're built for heat and open seas, not chill and confinement. Plesiosaurs were marine reptiles, adapted to the warmth and vastness of oceans during the Mesozoic era. A small, isolated freshwater lake would have posed significant thermal challenges, as these creatures relied on consistent warm water temperatures and expansive aquatic environments to maintain their body heat and hunting range. But wait, there's more to it. Their flippers were perfectly adapted for gliding through open waters, but ill-suited for maneuvering in tight spaces. Think about that. These creatures needed the vast openness of the ocean to move around comfortably. A lake would indeed be like a prison cell for them, severely limiting their ability to hunt and escape predators effectively. Plesiosaurs were truly marine animals, thriving in the warm seas of the Mesozoic era rather than freshwater environments or cold lakes. Plesiosaurs were perfectly adapted for life in the oceans, where their powerful flippers and streamlined bodies allowed them to move efficiently through water. Their tails had strong muscles that propelled them forward, making them highly effective predators in marine environments. In a cold freshwater lake, however, they would face significant challenges due to the shallow waters and rocky shores, which could impede their movement and navigation. It's akin to trying to swim in a pool with long, rigid fins instead of hands and feet. Every obstacle becomes a hindrance. Now here's the next big question. How did plesiosaurs breathe? Like all air-breathing reptiles, They had lungs that needed constant access to the surface for air intake. Imagine surfacing repeatedly from deep water in an ocean to take breaths. This would be a necessity for their survival. In a small freshwater lake, however, such frequent trips to the surface would be like taking short sips through a straw. It's simply not efficient or sustainable for these large marine reptiles. Let's talk about diet. Plesiosaurs were indeed adept at catching fast-swimming prey like fish and squid in the vast marine environments they inhabited during the Mesozoic era. However, these reptiles lived primarily in warm coastal seas and open oceans across various continents, not in cold freshwater lakes. Transitioning to a small, murky lake with limited food sources would severely challenge their survival strategies. Plesiosaurs relied on extensive ocean habitats for their diverse prey base and would likely struggle to thrive in the confined, cooler conditions of a lake. But there's an even bigger issue: reproduction. If you're familiar with today's sea turtles, you know they lay eggs on sandy beaches. Plesiosaurs likely did something similar, but finding suitable nesting sites in cold freshwater lakes would be challenging. Moreover, plesiosaurs were primarily marine reptiles, adapted to oceanic environments. Their diets and the availability of prey species in marine settings would not support their survival in isolated freshwater habitats. Thus, while it's an intriguing idea, there's no evidence that plesiosaurs ever lived or reproduced in cold freshwater lakes. Plesiosaurs, like many marine reptiles, were adapted to live in warm oceanic environments. Their reproductive strategies likely involved laying eggs or giving birth in water, both of which would be challenging in a cold freshwater lake. Additionally, young plesiosaurs required clear, temperate waters rich with prey for successful growth and survival, conditions that a frigid lake could not provide. Now let's zoom out a bit. Plesiosaurs were adapted to live in large marine ecosystems with consistent temperature and salinity levels, along with abundant prey availability. Their entire biology, from circulation to metabolism, was optimized for life in the vast oceans. A small freshwater body would be completely unsuitable for them. It would be like asking an elephant to squeeze into a rabbit hole. Subject: why plesiosaurs could never have lived in a cold freshwater lake, and here's something that might blow your mind. Plesiosaurs were perfectly adapted to marine environments, with their unique circulatory systems designed to maintain body temperature despite cold water surrounding them. However, in the frigid conditions of a freshwater lake, their bodies would struggle to regulate heat effectively, likely leading to fatal complications due to extreme cooling. So here's what you need to know. Plesiosaurs were not just massive marine reptiles, they were exquisitely adapted to life in the oceans. A cold freshwater lake would be entirely foreign to them, a world apart from their natural habitat. Subject: why plesiosaurs could never have lived in a cold freshwater lake. Passage to fact check. Let's recap. Those four flippers, that long neck and powerful tails, were perfectly adapted for the vast expanse of warm Mesozoic oceans. A cold freshwater lake would be inhospitable due to its drastically different environment. But wait, there's still more to uncover. How did plesiosaurs adapt over millions of years to their specific marine environments? What if we found fossils in areas where ancient lakes or rivers once existed? Would this challenge our understanding of their habitat preferences and range? That's right. The real mystery lies not just in their anatomy, but also in how and why plesiosaurs evolved so specifically for marine environments. Their adaptations to life in the oceans suggest an evolutionary history deeply rooted in aquatic settings. If they couldn't thrive in a freshwater lake, what does that say about their origins and specialized evolution? Here's something else to ponder. If you saw a plesiosaur in the ocean today, would it surprise you? It wouldn't, because plesiosaurs were well adapted to marine environments. But imagine finding one in a cold freshwater lake. It just doesn't fit. Plesiosaurs lived during the Mesozoic era and were adapted for life in warm, shallow seas, not cold freshwater lakes. So think about this. Next time you're by a lake or river, imagine those massive marine reptiles swimming there. Plesiosaurs were indeed adapted for life in the oceans, where they thrived due to the abundance of prey and more stable environmental conditions. They never ventured into cold freshwater habitats like lakes or rivers. Their world was the ocean, and they remained close to its embrace throughout their evolutionary history. This is what makes the plesiosaur story so fascinating. Their existence tells us so much about the ancient oceans and how life evolved to thrive in vast marine environments. However, it also reveals just how specialized these animals were, adapted specifically for conditions found only in the open sea, making their survival unlikely in cold freshwater lakes or radically different habitats. And here's one last gut punch. Every time you see a plesiosaur illustration, remember this: one of the most iconic prehistoric marine reptiles would indeed struggle to survive in cold freshwater environments outside its ocean home. It's like discovering your favorite superhero can't even walk without their powers. So, what does that tell us about our understanding of these ancient creatures? The answer is clear. Plesiosaurs were adapted for life in the open ocean, not cold freshwater lakes. Plesiosaurs thrived in marine environments during the Mesozoic era, where they could exploit diverse food sources and maintain their vast size and energy requirements. Imagine those powerful flippers gliding effortlessly through vast oceans, perfectly adapted for open water. Plesiosaurs were marine reptiles and would have struggled in the limited space of a cold freshwater lake, far from their natural habitat. In short, plesiosaurs were perfectly adapted to their oceanic environment. But in a chilly freshwater lake, they would struggle due to the lack of marine resources and cooler temperatures they weren't specifically adapted for. So the next time you see one of those majestic illustrations or models, remember, these weren't just big marine reptiles. They were exquisitely adapted to life in the oceans and couldn't survive in freshwater environments. And that's what makes them truly remarkable. Imagine a plesiosaur trying to navigate through the murky shallows of a lake, their long necks and delicate limbs bumping into every rock and tree root. It's like seeing Michael Phelps swim in a kiddie pool. He just wasn't designed for it. Subject: why plesiosaurs could never have lived in a cold freshwater lake. Their bodies were optimized for open water, with currents and waves constantly pushing them along. In a still lake, they'd struggle to move efficiently, let alone hunt effectively. Picture their streamlined forms suddenly battling against the resistance of stagnant waters. Ridiculous. Furthermore, plesiosaurs are adapted to marine environments, not freshwater lakes. Their physiology is suited for saltwater ecosystems, with abundant prey and more consistent water conditions. Moreover, plesiosaurs relied on the vast expanse of warm oceans to maintain their body temperature through constant movement and the stable thermal environment. A cold freshwater lake would cool them down rapidly, making it challenging for these marine reptiles to survive due to their physiological adaptations suited for saltwater habitats. Their bodies simply couldn't cope with such a drastic change in thermal conditions. Plesiosaurs were adapted for hunting in the open seas, where they preyed upon large fish and other marine reptiles abundant there. Living in a small, cold freshwater lake would have been highly unsuitable, as their specialized diet and ecological adaptations would not support them. Finding sufficient food sources similar to those in the ocean would be nearly impossible, leading to starvation due to the stark difference in available resources. So the next time someone suggests plesiosaurs lived in freshwater lakes, remember this: these creatures were not just adapted to life at sea, they were built for it. With their long necks, massive bodies, flippers designed for efficient swimming in open waters, and streamlined shapes, every inch of their bodies tells us they belonged in the vastness of oceans, not confined to a tiny lake where they'd be utterly lost and helpless due to their specialized marine adaptations. Think about that. The sheer scale and specialization of these creatures is truly mind-boggling. A creature so perfectly adapted to one environment that any deviation would mean certain doom. That's why plesiosaurs remain such a marvel of evolution, true masters of the deep ocean with no place for freshwater lakes in their story. Imagine trying to squeeze an elephant into a kiddie pool. It just wouldn't work. Plesiosaurs needed the open seas like we need air to breathe. Their massive bodies required vast expanses of water to support them and maintain their body heat in the cold marine environment. Plesiosaurs had incredible long necks, which weren't just for show. These necks contained complex vascular systems that relied on the thermal properties of marine environments to maintain optimal body temperature. In a cold freshwater lake, their delicate circulatory system would struggle to regulate heat effectively, much like a car engine overheating without adequate coolant in hot weather. However, plesiosaurs were well adapted to marine habitats and could efficiently manage their body temperature in the ocean's stable thermal conditions. Plesiosaurs were adapted for speed and agility in open seas, with flippers optimized for efficient swimming in large bodies of water. Their anatomy was not suited for the limited space and slower currents found in small freshwater lakes. Imagine trying to swim laps in a bathtub using flippers designed for an Olympic-sized pool. It simply wouldn't work. Subject: why plesiosaurs could never have lived in a cold freshwater lake. Then there's their diet. Plesiosaurs feasted on fish and cephalopods, deep-sea delicacies that would be scarce, if not non-existent, in freshwater lakes. They needed the rich diversity of marine life to thrive. A lake simply couldn't provide enough variety or quantity of food for these ocean dwellers. Finally, consider the social structure of plesiosaurs. Many species lived in large groups, similar to pods of whales today, thriving in open marine environments where they could communicate and interact freely. Stuck in a small freshwater lake, they'd be cut off from their vast oceanic habitats and communities, isolated and vulnerable, far from their natural range and social structure. Plesiosaurs were creatures of the warm, expansive seas, not the chilly confines of freshwater lakes. These magnificent marine reptiles were perfectly adapted to their aquatic domain, thriving in warm and temperate seas during the Mesozoic era. The idea of them living in a cold freshwater lake is simply not accurate, as their physiology was tailored for a fully marine environment.